Okay, hello everybody. We're so glad you're here at the Healing School. This is our third class, and we are so excited today to have two amazing speakers going to share with us some truths about how to be healthy and whole, spirit, soul, and body. So our first speaker is Laura Arrington, and she is an integrative nutrition health coach, a stay-at-home mom of two, Bobby, 6, and Bay, who's 2. She believes God taught us how to eat in the Garden of Eden, and she's going to show us how to do that. So if you'll help me welcome Laura Arrington. Come on up. Send that pretty close if you can, because it won't pick up if it's not close.
Okay, so I've never used a mic before, and just last week I told some of my friends, you will never see me go live on Facebook. So that didn't work out too well. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so am I on? Am I ready? Yes. Okay, so thank you so much, Sarah, for asking me to speak. I was really so honored and so excited to talk to you guys about eating healthy. In fact, I'm a pretty introverted person, but I get pretty excited about eating healthy. So if I go over the time, just give me a big old sign here that cut it off, Laura. I talk a lot about it at home, and in fact, sometimes my family's like, oh my gosh, you are crazy. So let me just give you a little bit of background about myself. So for the past about 13 years, I owned the coffee ranch, and I sold it last year. But I see a few familiar faces, and I miss seeing you guys. But I felt the Lord calling me to do something differently for a long time, years actually, and I was just really, my obedience was delayed. So anyway, last year I finally got up the courage to sell it, and then I went to school to be an integrative health coach, and that took a year. And before that, let me just tell you a little bit. Here's kind of my life in my 20s, what a day would be like for me. So I would get up around 5 a.m. and head to the coffee ranch, and a lot of days I would not eat breakfast. I might eat a cinnamon roll or nothing at all, and then I would work until lunch, and a lot of times I would not take a break at all, and I would not eat lunch because I was working and feeding the public. So then around 2 o'clock, I'm really exhausted, but I think I need to eat something, so I'll eat like a bagel or a bagel sandwich or a sandwich or another cinnamon roll perhaps. And so it really wasn't great. And then sometimes I would be off work at 2, and then other days I would work until 6 p.m. And then at that time I didn't have any children, so I would get home and I'm exhausted from working, and I don't know how to cook really, largely. And so we would go out to eat, and we would normally pick the greasiest burger joint in town and eat burgers and fries. So within a really pretty short time, the working 60 or 70 hours a week plus that diet led to a really unbalanced lifestyle. And probably about the time I was 26 or 27, I was having really strange episodes where I was having shortness of breath, extreme exhaustion, very strange skin rashes on my arms, constipation, arthritis. My hands would be hurting all the time. There were some other ailments, but I went to the doctor, and I got blood work, didn't get any real answers. And so basically they said there's nothing wrong. And I was like, there's got to be something wrong with me. I never feel good. And so I kind of started thinking about things, but honestly did not make the connection to it being what I was eating and my very unbalanced lifestyle. And that's what's so great about this healing school, is that Sarah is bringing into play so many different factors of health, not just what you eat. But it does include, spirituality, your career, your exercise, and several other factors. So I was so excited to hear that, and you're being offered something that is really unique and is not offered in a lot of places. And if it is offered, you have to pay large sums of money. So this is a great deal. So anyway, after that time period, I wasn't doing great, but I did get pregnant, and I had a baby. And after that, he started breaking out in eczema when he was 1 year old. So I thought, this is not right. What is this? And then I really began to dig at that point. So that's been about 6 years ago. So I'm relatively new to the healthy bandwagon compared to Sarah, especially. I mean, she is a veteran here in this still. So I appreciate her asking me to speak knowing that. Let's see. So what I decided to do is buy some examples of things that my family eats, and maybe some just healthier options. Maybe not the very best, but healthier, especially if you're transitioning to healthy food. Now, each person is unique, and I am largely unable to stand up here and say that each person must eat the exact same diet. That would not work. And I heard Sarah speak about that last week, and she did a great job. So I will give you like a really small list of food that I don't think anyone should eat ever, but really it's up to you to kind of dig and see what works for your individual body type. Okay, so first of all, we have sandwiches. So sandwiches were a huge part of my life for 13 years. And I've been pushing sandwiches at you from behind the counter for 13 years. And now I'm going to say I really don't know about sandwiches. And we've given up sandwiches for the most part, which was really hard. So now what we do is we eat the Ezekiel toast, which is available at Sarah's Health Food. And we toast it, and then we put like avocado on it, cucumber, all kinds of veggies. There was actually a segment today on, let's see, I don't know. It was on Dr. Oz that he was speaking about avocado toast, and I was kind of shocked. And it looked delicious. And it is delicious. So that's one thing that's kind of replaced our sandwiches. Another thing that is, let me back up. This must be toasted. Like the Ezekiel bread, if you transition over to this, it's in the freezer section of Sarah's. And you want to just keep it in your freezer and then take it out just as you need it, and then literally get a knife and kind of break it apart and toast it. If you don't do that, it's not anything like your normal regular bread that you're used to eating. It's sprouted grains and other ancient grains. And what sprouting does is release a lot of the nutrients and makes it easier to digest. So we do that. And then the other thing that's kind of replaced our sandwiches is these Ezekiel tortillas. And we make, you can make wraps, but I would really recommend, for the most part, we do like kind of like a quesadilla. So we put either, beans, which I brought beans right here. These are actually a dehydrated bean. They're not really fried. They say refried beans, but if you look on the ingredients, the only ingredients are pinto beans and salt. So they're just a dehydrated bean. So they're pretty healthy. I mean, they've got a little bit of sodium, but other than that, they're pretty good. And a lot of times we just make our own beans. We'll get dry beans, soak them overnight, rinse them, drain and rinse them several times if you can. And then we cook them in the crock pot all day long, or on the stovetop, or in an Instant Pot in about 45 minutes, which is great if you work and you don't have a lot of time. So we do the beans and cheese in the tortilla, and make it like a quesadilla. Or you could do ground beef if you are not eating beans or avoiding beans, or chicken. You just want to make sure that your ground beef, you try to find grass-fed beef or organic chicken. That's one of the things that struck me when I was reading the Bible the other day. In the first part of Genesis, it literally talks about feeding the animals greens, and feeding the people fruit and grains. And so that's one thing we've gone away from, is we're now feeding the cows grains, and they're not supposed to be eating grains, which is corn, which fattens them up. And honestly, will fatten you up. So that's one thing. For snacks, we do like Bonitos, which honestly, guys, like no chip is really healthy, but this is a healthier option than a corn tortilla chip. It's not going to spike your blood sugar like the corn tortilla would. I would say, by and large, avoid corn if possible. Popcorn, corn chips, corn tortillas. We did, actually, my mom and I did a little experiment, because we honestly did not believe that corn spiked your blood sugar. And so we had a meter, a glucose meter, and we tested our blood sugar every morning for a couple weeks. And then one day my mom said, let's just see if this is true. So she tested her blood sugar and recorded it, and then she ate some popcorn, and then she tested her blood sugar again, and her blood sugar went from like 85 to over 100. Like, I can't remember what it was. Do you, Mom? Yeah. Yeah. So it really, corn is not the greatest thing to eat. Another thing, like last night, we decided to have spaghetti. So we're still eating some of the foods we've always eaten. And it will be like a process for you if you decide to go to the healthy eating. You really can't just do it overnight. It's taken us years, and I'm sure it will continue on for as long as we live, because you're always going to be eating differently based on, if it's cold outside, if it's hot outside, what's in season. You just get tired of things, so you switch around, but you always want to try to pick the healthier option. I found this last night. It's a spaghetti made with rice. It says brown rice, whole grain brown rice flour, and rice flour. So white rice is not great. It's not the best choice, but I feel like, I don't know how much, the first ingredient is the brown rice, so that's good. So there's also a lentil pasta at United, and that's a really good option. So we still eat, some of the things we used to eat before, but it's just a matter of, reading the labels. We have tried to go away from wheat, and there's like a really crazy thing going on right now with gluten, and everyone thinking they're gluten intolerant. And I don't honestly know if that's the case. Like, I don't know enough about it, but I did some research, and I found a really good article, and it says what's wrong with modern wheat. And it talks about how grain has been at the heart of our diet for thousands of years. And anyway, it just talks about how it's changed. And the way we grow it, the way we process it, and the way we eat it has changed. And the way it's milled is not good. Basically what happens is, let's see, I'm going to read a little excerpt from this. Let's see. In the 1870s, the invention of the modern steel roller mill revolutionized grain milling. Compared to old stone methods, it was fast and efficient and gave fine control over the various parts of the kernel. Instead of just mashing it all together, one could separate the component parts, allowing the purest and finest of white flour to be easily produced at low cost. So every class of person in rapidly growing cities could now afford fancy flour. People rejoiced for modern progress. And beyond being cheap and wildly popular, this new type of flour shipped and stored better, allowing for a long distribution chain. In fact, it kept almost indefinitely. Pest problems were eliminated because pests didn't want it. Of course, we now know that the reason it keeps so well is that it has been stripped of vital nutrients. The bugs and rodents knew this way before we did. The steel roller mill became so popular so fast that within 10 years, nearly all stone mills in the Western world had been replaced. And thus was born the first processed food and the beginning of our industrial food system, where vast quantities of shelf-stable food are produced in large factories many months and many miles from the point of consumption. It says, from a human nutrition standpoint, it is ironic that wheat milling methods to produce white flour eliminate those portions of the wheat kernel, which is the bran, germ, shorts, I've never heard of that, and red dog mill streams that are the richest in proteins, vitamins, lipids, and minerals. While these advances in milling were hailed as an innovation in modern living, nobody thought much about what was happening to the actual food value of wheat. Ironic indeed. Flour is still the most popular way to eat wheat. Anyway, so basically it goes on to say, quite a bit of other information, and this is off the internet, and I need to probably quote that site, and I don't know, let me see where it's from. Let's see, Heritage Baking is where it's from. But anyway, I've read, I don't know if this is necessarily true. It does say this in the article, but that, it's drenched in pesticides right before it's harvested, and that's creating a lot of problems. And it is now being created to yield higher gluten, like a higher level of gluten, so that could be irritating people. But anyway, just something we're doing isn't working for us. I mean, it's just not. So I would say if you have to avoid, or if you want to go this route, for us, we have chosen to eliminate flour and sugar. So flour would be like pasta, tortillas, pizza, sorry Jesse's Pizza, and bread, wheat bread or white bread, still same thing. You're eating empty calories is what's happening, so it's not worth it. Another thing we do for easy meals is we get frozen veggies, which I would really recommend if you work or you have kids to get frozen vegetables. Really, frozen veggies for us are probably going to be the closest to fresh that we can get where we are located. So they're flash frozen. I just saute spinach in a little bit of butter, squeeze a little bit of lemon on it, a little bit of salt and pepper. I'll eat like the whole package of spinach for lunch sometimes, which some people are like, oh, gross, I can't do that. And you do get tired of it. I do. So I don't do it every day or even every week, but every once in a while I do that. We eat black-eyed peas a lot. These are really delicious black-eyed peas. They're already cooked, so they literally take 5 minutes. If you put them in boiling water with some garlic, I mean, they're so fast and easy. And I think that's where a lot of people are, is that they get home from work at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or later, and they're so exhausted and they don't want to think about what to cook. They don't have any ingredients available. And so they do what's the easiest, which is either go out to eat or grab a sandwich. And if you will keep some of these things on hand at your house, it's a fast and easy and delicious meal. These are the eggs that I have decided are the best from the grocery store if you can't get local eggs. They do have local eggs at Sarah's Health Food, which I didn't know that, but that's exciting. And then this right here is kombucha, and you can brew your own or you can buy it at Sarah's. And this is an example of a fermented food. And we used to get a lot of fermented foods in our diets when people gardened and canned their own veggies and made their own foods. And now we don't get hardly any fermented foods. In fact, if you go to the grocery store, you'll be hard-pressed to find any true fermented food. So the only fermented foods right now that I know of are this apple cider vinegar is considered a fermented food. Right, Sarah, don't you? And then this, which is, it's a live food. There are live cultures in this. This one drink of this would be better than any probiotic that you could take because it's a live, living food. I mean, it does taste a little bit like vinegar. And so you do kind of have to acquire a taste for it. But even my kids love it. They drink it all the time. So I think a lot of you would probably like that. Okay, so let me see what else. A good snack is olives. Those are a really good brand of olives. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else. For breakfast, usually we eat either oatmeal or we eat like eggs and Ezekiel bread. I make homemade granola. Trying to think what else we do for breakfast. For breakfast, I want to bring one more thing up. My mom, she does intermittent fasting, and I don't know if you've heard of that, but you can find a lot of information on drmercola.com about intermittent fasting, and it is essentially where you do not eat breakfast, which is like contrary to what you've probably been told your entire life, that you must eat a breakfast to be healthy, a healthy breakfast. And what this does is it gives your digestion a rest, and you're wanting to go for around 16 hours without eating. So you would only eat, in a small window. So from like noon to 6 p.m. you would eat. Then from 6 p.m. to the next day at noon, you would eat nothing. You would just drink water. And that's one really good way to restart your body. It puts you in a fat-burning state. It just really eliminates the time you have that you mess up a meal. So that's one consideration for the healthy eating, just don't eat. It's worked really well for my mom, though. She's lost about, 45 pounds probably in the past, probably maybe a year. So, and she feels like that's something she could keep up for her entire life. Now, that's not something you have to do every single day. I mean, you could do it every other day, or you could do it just during the week, and then on the weekends you could go ahead and eat breakfast. But the intermittent fasting is really great, I think. Okay, so if you don't like to cook veggies or you just don't think you like veggies, a really great place to start is juicing. So about 6 years ago when I kind of began the healthy journey, I found a website called Chris Beat Cancer. So it's a guy named Chris Work, and he had got cancer when he was about 27. He had colon cancer, and he had surgery to remove the cancer. And then when he woke up, they said, we want to start chemo and radiation immediately. And he said, I'm not going to do that at all. I'm going to change my lifestyle. And you need to go to his website. It is so, so inspiring. Like, that is one thing that really keeps me motivated to eat healthy, is by watching the interview. He interviews people that are cancer survivors that have beat it without modern medicine. So he actually got me started juicing. So I've had this juicer about 5 or 6 years. I got my kids to help me juice, and in fact, one day my little boy was pressing this back and forth while we were juicing, and I didn't know it, but juice went back into the motor, and then it shocked me. And then I packed it up and sent it back to the company, Omega, and they fixed the whole entire thing and refurbished it and gave me all new parts and sent it back for free. And I had it about 3 years. So you can get this juicer on Amazon. It's a really great juicer. There are 3 types of juicers. There's centrifugal, which spins, and that produces the most heat. So if you buy that kind, that's the kind you're going to find here at Walmart. And if you get that kind, you want to consume the juice immediately, because the heat destroys a lot of the nutrients. And then if you store it even longer, even more nutrients are lost, and it's really not great. It also doesn't produce a great yield. It is the most economical juicer. If you want to just start out, that's great. This is a midline kind of model of the masticating. It kind of chews the food. It takes a little bit longer. It doesn't use as much heat, and it's kind of a medium amount of yield. And then you have a I can't even say the word, you guys, it's so weird. In fact, I didn't even know that they had this kind of juicer until recently. Triturating, which it's like a dual auger. So there are two of these. It's the slowest. It produces the least amount of heat, but the greatest yield. So if you're going to jump into juicing, that is actually the juicer to buy. And I looked into it, and it's about $550 for a decent triturating. I'm going to say that a bunch of times. Triturating. Okay, so I brought some veggies to juice. I'm going to move some of this stuff right here so we can juice a little bit, and then I'll give everybody a sample of the juice just to kind of give you an idea, if you've never juiced before or never bought juice, what it tastes like. So you can kind of see, is this something I might want to do? Now, literally, you can juice pretty much any fruit or vegetable. I would recommend sticking with veggies for the most part. Fruit is so high in sugar that if you juice fruit, and I have done an apple before, and I drank it, and oh my gosh, I was like in sugar shock. Literally, it made me physically ill. And and this was a long time ago when I ate all those cinnamon rolls and stuff. So you'd think I could handle a little bit more sugar, but apparently not. So I would say not a lot of fruit, more veggies. If you do fruit, I would say like the core of a green apple or the core of a pineapple. You definitely don't want to do like soft fruits like blueberries, bananas. Those don't work very well. Let's see. And I have recipe books, but I honestly don't use them a lot. I just kind of juice whatever I have available at the time. I ended up tonight bringing, I don't know if I brought ginger, carrots, and lemon for one. And then if we have time and we have enough, if we need more, I have another juice recipe we can do. Let me think. But what the thing is you can just juice whatever you have available. I didn't bring greens, and the reason I didn't bring greens is because you literally have to juice a pretty substantial quantity of greens for any yield. I mean, you just don't get much out of the greens, but it's a great way to eat your greens. And that's the thing with me. I thought at first, I don't love vegetables, but I need to get them in. Like, I need them. And so I started juicing, and it's so amazing how many veggies you can squeeze into your day when you juice. It's unbelievable. So usually, I could juice 2 pounds or more of carrots and eat drink all of that. I don't know if I said this or not, but the benefits of juicing are that it is liquid, so it's absorbed immediately into your bloodstream. It doesn't have to necessarily go, through the digestion process. It floods your body with nutrients. It's good for detox, good for weight loss. I have seen tons of people say they healed cancer largely through juicing. So I think honestly everybody should get a juicer. And even if you don't use it every day, even once a week would be great, or just as often as you can. So I washed my hands right before we came in here, I promise. Evidence of this is that there are no paper towels in the bathroom. So I have a towel up here if anybody needs it. So I don't know how loud this is going to be. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. I'll juice these carrots and the lemon and the ginger. If you do ginger, you only want to do just like a thumbnail amount, or a thumb like that big. It's hot. It's really hot. But I cook a little bit with ginger, but not a lot, so it's a good way to get ginger. And then, let me see, I wrote down carrots are high in potassium, magnesium. They're good for your heart, your muscles, your digestive tract. They have vitamins A, C, D, E, and K. So that's a lot of vitamins just in the carrots. The carrots are pretty high in sugar. So if you are diabetic, I would say maybe only a few carrots per juice, not a whole 2 or 5 pounds. Although Chris from Crispy Cancer, which I reference constantly, he juices about, I think he said 5 pounds, or he said, I don't know if he said 32 ounces, 64 ounces, or 5 pounds, but it was a large number of carrots every single day that he still drinks. So he thinks that the benefits outweigh the sugar. So I think that is probably true.
And of course, organic is key.
Right. Yes, very true. Yes, you definitely want to. If you can't find organic, I would peel everything. If I don't peel the carrots, they are organic. I just wash them. I peel the ginger. It's not organic from our grocery store, but I peeled it. If I have to get cucumbers that are not organic, I peel them. But yes, you definitely want to get organic every time if you can.
They taste better anyway.
Right. And it's worth it in the long run. It may cost a little bit more to begin with, but it's worth it. So it's so easy. You literally just, put the veggies in, and it's kind of loud. If anybody has chickens, you can feed this to your chickens. I'll save it for the people that have chickens. You don't want to give your chickens citrus. And so if you juice for somebody that has chickens, or you have chickens, you'll want to stop and empty this before you juice the lemon. I think this might have had another piece right here that's like a little tray, but honestly, it still will only go in that at a time, one little piece at a time. So I think I took that off a long time ago. I don't think I really anticipated how long this was going to take and how it sounds. I wonder how it sounds over Facebook Live. And did I say it at the first that I said I was never going Facebook Live, and here I am. Oh my gosh. I also came up here and I stood behind the podium, and I realized you can't see anything but my head, so I better not use the podium. So Gail, you may not want to use the podium, heads up. You're pretty short like me. Oh, goodness. If someone would like to volunteer to come help me to empty this, that would be great. you still eating cake, Harold? Oh. Here, I brought this. We can give it to Megan. I'm glad you're at the healing school. Oh my goodness. This is probably pretty good for your arm muscles if you're a weenie like I am. I'm a wimp that doesn't, you can tell I need to work on the exercise part of my healthy journey. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're almost done with this. Here's some little cups. They asked me at the grocery store, what are you going to do with those cups? I said, well, I'm going to give some samples of juice. And they didn't seem very excited about that. I think they were expecting something else. If you start buying this weird food up here, they will look at you strangely at the grocery store. That's why you need to go to Sarah's to buy the food. She doesn't look at you strangely. Okay, this is a super small amount of, I did about a half of a lemon and about 2 pounds of carrots. I don't know if this one will fit. Yeah, it'll go. Okay, one more. And then just a little bitty piece of ginger. This is also kind of an acquired taste like the kombucha. So it's a powerful flavor. But, I mean, if you just think about it, you just ate probably all the veggies that you need to eat for a whole day. If you drank all of this or more, you probably needed a little, you probably need more. Okay, so we'll pass this out. Here, I'll put this under here. Okay, the college people, the cleanup people are not gonna like me very much tomorrow. I may not be happy. I'm gonna stir it with that. Okay. Thanks, Mom. Okay, so one thing that I want to say about all this is that, you know, Sarah was talking about how if you are harboring bitterness or anger or jealousy or anything like that, and then you eat all these veggies, honestly, what's in your heart is going to override the veggies that you eat. So we don't want to eat this broccoli for nothing, guys. So I'm really, really glad. So it is so much more than food.
That's very good.
Okay, so I think I'm going to juice some more because we only have 2 little cups. Okay, so the next one that I'll do is grapefruit, pineapple, and celery, and mint. Okay. Oh no, I can't put that in there. That goes in there. Okay. Just now this will. I'll try to be fast, people. What time is it?
Can you use
Am I okay, Sarah?
stuff for composting as well? Like that?
I think you can. I don't see why you couldn't.
I have another use for it. I have a worm factory.
Oh, yeah.
Regular worms, and I feed them all sorts of stuff like this.
Yeah, worms. Yes. Why do you have worms?
Because they make fertilizer.
Yes. Perfect.
They're castings. They call them castings.
Wow, that is amazing. That's exciting. Okay, round 2 of the juicing. Yeah, this one I think will go a little bit faster. Yes, they will drink pretty much, well, Bobby will drink almost everything I juice. Bay is pretty picky right now. I'm working on her. I can tell she's probably going to be the picky one. And sometimes I do have to bribe him. If he wants to eat something that is not really my favorite, I'll be like, well, before you do that, you have to drink a whole glass of juice, like a whole 16-ounce or more glass. And he does it. My poor kids. Yeah. Yeah, my kids were staying the night at my mom's not very long ago, and they decided to order pizza. And we do still, have a cheat day every once in a while. We do still eat regular, normal people food. And they got the pizza, and Bobby sat down, and he said, Mimi, where's the vegetables? And she said, well, we're having pizza. And he said, I need vegetables with my pizza. And so he wanted like a side of like raw broccoli, cauliflower, carrots with his pizza. So that was really exciting. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, does that count? Yeah, does that count as a, it's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here's a core of a pineapple. Yeah, that's fine, I think. I'm not going to be able to put that in there because it's so big. Okay, that was a bad idea there. Okay, so mint. You can even juice herbs. So mint. Mint. Okay. I think that's good. So you don't have to have a recipe. Just kind of juice whatever you have. Remember not to juice too many fruits that are really high in sugar. Stick with the veggies. You can store this juice from this juicer for 24 hours. You just want to put it in like a mason jar, and you want to fill it up to the very top. Leave as little room as possible at the top, and then close it really tightly and put it in the refrigerator for like within 24 hours to use it. Drink it. Okay. Okay, so a little bit more about what I do as a health coach is I meet with people, clients in my home, and I would meet them twice a month for a minimum of 6 months, and we go through kind of their minor health issues and try to get to the root cause of their minor health issues, and try to create a lifestyle for them that is something that they can sustain forever. Okay. And so I would be actually happy to do a free health history on anyone that wants a free health history. So what that entails would be, I give you a form that's similar to what you would fill out at the doctor's office. It's a little bit more in depth, asking questions about what you eat. And then I would meet with you, and we would go over the health history and decide if it's something that you would be interested in doing. And I think that's actually all I have today for you guys. So thank you so much again for asking me to speak, and I'm wishing you all the best health.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was so good. Such good information. I have a story to tell about when we first bought the health food store. Like everyone else, we had white flour in our canister on the kitchen counter. And so one day I brought home some whole wheat flour from our store, some organically grown, stone ground wheat flour, and put it in a canister right next to the white flour. And I don't cook a lot. I don't bake a lot. So it was a while before I needed any flour. And I went to go get some flour out of the whole wheat, and of course there were just bugs all in it. and because I'd left it out on the counter, now I keep them in the freezer. But so and then I opened the white flour canister, and there wasn't a single bug in it. You know, it's like no self-respecting bug would eat white flour because there's nothing in there to eat. There's no nutritional value. So I, took a lesson from the bugs. All right, so we will take a 10-minute break, and during the break, for those who are interested, we're going to do a demonstration of how to type your own blood. So Greg has bought a blood typing kit, and we're going to type his blood during the break. So if you want to watch kind of how it's done, if you don't know your blood type, you can buy the the kits from, do it yourself. And so we'll show how to do that, and then in the meantime we'll switch gears and we'll have Gail Winter come up after the break's over. So stay tuned, don't go away. Be back in let's say 15 minutes. So that would make it like 7:25.